Structure and be their parent first. Don't want to be their kids' friends until they're old enough to understand that part. A lot of people don't want to discipline their kids. Oh, I want to be their best friend, but you can be that later on in life. Until they're a certain age, you got to be the parent first. And a lot of people don't understand that anymore.
Chores aren't bad.
No.
Chores
is definitely, yes.
Even when they're little, I get it. It's hard because you're still teaching them. It's still a good thing to teach them very minimal chores.
Yeah.
Listen up, maggots. This is the Grouch coming at you loud and clear with another edition of the Weekend Warriors podcast. This is the place for real, no bullshit talk on the harsh realities and irreverent humor around military life. So sit the fuck down, strap in, and get ready for a raw, no-holds-barred discussion. This is the Weekend Warriors. All right, welcome to another episode of the Weekend Warriors podcast. I'm your host, the Grouch, and we got a big crowd tonight because tonight we have a special episode where we brought in spouses to discuss parenting struggles in and out of the military. So joining me today, we've got Stephen and Anya.
Hello, everybody.
We got Dirty Birdie.
Hi, listeners.
Tony. With a middle finger. Love it.
Yeah. Listening, he gave the finger.
We got Late Nights and Sid.
Hi, guys.
Oh. DJ. I hate Ford F-150.
Very nice. Wow, wow, wee, wah.
Wow, wow, wee, wah.
And we got our token Russian, Russ.
Hi, my name is Sputnik Repeater. I don't have any children, not that I'm aware of, but I will be a moderator for the debate today.
You are the child of the group.
Russell.
Why does he think there's going to be a debate?
Well, all right. In typical Weekend Warriors fashion, let's go around and just kind of check in with everybody and see how we're doing. Go ahead, Steven.
We're going to change it up, and we're going to start with you this time.
Yeah.
We always start with us. We're starting with you this time. How was your week, Paul?
How you doing?
Well, all right. So it's been a struggle, honestly. And you want to know what my struggle has been this week? Parenting. So from Monday on, we have done nothing but disagree on how to take corrective action with our 14-year-old son's misbehaviors and his obstinance and not wanting to do schoolwork and not wanting to do anything to help around the house. Yeah, we had marriage therapy this morning, and my wife was supposed to be here this evening. But as you can tell, marriage therapy went really, really well. So, yeah. There's good days and bad, right? We all have them. And so this week has been a struggle, but I'm glad I got my family here to support me in my group therapy endeavors on the internet. And appreciate you checking in with me first.
Well, fuck,
all right,
that was
Steven.
a shitty way to start.
Shut up, Bob.
Steven, how was your week? And if you want to introduce your wife.
This is my lovely bride of 32 years. Damn.
Better get that date right.
Yeah. 32.
God bless her soul.
Technically, we're on 33 years, but we've only been married for 32. So, she's German, so I have to watch out for the temper. But our week was good. She went to work every day this week so that I could have health insurance. See what I mean about the temper? And I got to be the token trophy husband and stay at home and not do much of anything.
Nothing much, yeah.
All right. What about you, Bert?
I had a good week. I went back to New York for Thanksgiving. I ate a lot and beat up my nephew quite a bit. He's like 9 years old, so he loves that stuff. And I got to spend time with my girlfriend and her daughter Giuseppa. And my dogs and my cat. So she was like, babe, I still have to work on these days. Do you mind staying home with the dogs? And I'm like, oh God, this sounds terrible. I guess so. I guess I'll be the one that does it. So, yeah, I suffered through quite a bit. It was pretty hard. People cooking for me and having to spend time with my dogs. Whew. I don't know if I'm gonna recover from it. Actually, I'm gonna have to go back in 2 weeks and do it all over again. So pray for me, everyone.
Well, glad you enjoyed your holiday. Tony, how's your week been?
Same old stuff. My daughter went up for the her part of the band that went up to the parade in Sevierville, the Christmas parade they do, whatever it's called.
That was tonight and just down the road.
That one.
Yep, she's there, freezing her ass off.
Yeah.
Jake called me this morning, wanting to know he was coming through to do a funeral and wanted to know where the best place to eat lunch was.
So, what'd you say?
But other than that, that was it.
We sent him up the road to Dandridge. He was where he was going to be coming through. They were up in Morristown.
All right. Well, Tony, I'm glad your daughter's doing productive. Not out.
She was excited. Oh, the night ain't over yet. She can still get in trouble.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
She is mine after all.
Cody and Sid, how was your week then? And Cody, if you want to introduce your wife.
She just told me to start talking. Okay, so
yes, that was your cue.
I'm sorry. Pay attention. That's right. All right. Anyways, I don't know, man. We've been married for so long. I don't remember how long. Our military years and our marriage years are just like dog years, so that's how it counts, right? But my week was amazing because she's amazing. So it's my sarcasm. No, actually, I did pretty good.
Bullshit.
No, I did pretty good at work, man. And you know what? I'm really excited about this particular episode because I don't want to give away too much of the secrets, but we're actually recording on officially a weekend, Friday night, and I don't feel like I'm stressed out for tomorrow. So long as none of the soldiers or officers partake in too much debauchery, and I'm taken away from my wife and kids over the weekend.
You spoke too soon.
Yeah.
I can hear someone on staff duty dialing your phone number right now.
It's football tomorrow and it's playoffs. So.
How is
you need a napkin?
We're not gonna win, but
Wipe that brown shit off your nose.
I'm hoping win. But
who's Montana playing?
South Dakota State, who we lost to in the national championship last year.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be like some community college or something.
No, we're in the playoffs. So isn't it all community college anyways?
Is that Pop Warner ball?
It's Division I FCS. All right?
It's the best division. Way more fun. Way more rivalries.
TJ, how about you? How's your week been?
And it's a blessing, man. Thank the Lord for another day. Time is just flying by. Just on cruise control, man.
Hey, cruise
He
control's not a
says
bad thing.
calmly when he just got selected to be a warrant officer, acting all chill.
Man, thank the Lord for it all, man. First time you don't succeed, try again. You don't succeed again, try again. I'm just waiting for my school date now. I'm trying to pop a smoke and get out of here, man, and hopefully go back to Germany. That's where me and my wife are trying to go next. We're trying to go back for her family. Hopefully, get stationed back in Grafenbeer. Be excited.
Where's your wife from?
She's from Weiden die Oberpfalz. It's like
Okay.
5 minutes away from Graf.
Yeah. Yeah, I got drunk in Weiden a few times.
Oh yeah, that place is wild, man. It's definitely lots of drinking can go on there, and you could go take some really nice hikes in the woods and get lost for a few days too. That's like it's pretty easy to do.
As long as it's warm outside.
Yeah, don't do it during the winter. So
Well,
smart.
DJ, don't forget to give yourself a little bit of credit too. You put in a lot of hard work, and you did a lot of extra studying, and you took a lot of extra classes to get extra, certs and things. Like you worked hard to get that promotion. So
Now I just got to survive the school, man. Get candidate and yelled at and
DJ,
write letters.
Russ and Robert made it through. What the fuck are you worried about?
Hey, man. I just got the worst of luck, man. If they go ask what's so funny first day, and I'm gonna just be laughing. Like I'm always just smiling for something, and that's just target. Just you're gonna be first sergeant. Oh,
Yeah,
That's only gonna live in the commander's probation.
Yeah.
right off the bat, commander's probation, full send. Full send.
all right, Russ, how was your week?
Tell us the good news.
Oh yeah, it was pretty eventful. On the Thanksgiving, I went to visit my family, and I got my underage cousins drunk off of IPA beer. Made one of them throw up. It was fun. Then I went to the casino. Then I won a couple $100, and then I signed up to go on a second. 4 days ago, I got orders to go to Kuwait, so that's gonna be fun for a year. And yeah, I'll be heading over to Fort Bliss on Wednesday of next week for 10-day SRP weapons issue and going over there. And yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight's debate.
Oh my god!
Are you not gonna tell us how you got punched in the face, or?
No, actually, I know the story behind this. Okay, the real story. All right, so I don't want to call Russ out, but I'm going to call him out. This actually was Russ's first full-fledged celebrated Thanksgiving since joining the U.S. of A. So I'm more curious. Russ, how did it go, man? How did the bird? Did you mess it up?
Of course, I messed it up. I mean, I still have it. I'm obligated finishing it off now, so I'm just eating it little by little. So
I thought you weren't done cooking it yet. I haven't finished it. It's still going.
I'm celebrating Thanksgiving the 14 days, like the same way the Russians celebrate Christmas 14 days after. It was good. I mean, I made mac and cheese. I bought a goat cheese. That was cool. Made that. Made her like a Cody suggested. Made a Russian dish with it. I made a fish. So I ate fish for Thanksgiving, and I brought it over to my family's home. So it was fun, yeah. And that was my first ever time kind of celebrating Thanksgiving, actually putting in the effort to celebrate it. Every year is just like, oh yeah, Thanksgiving, but never actually resonated with me as why I'm doing it and what's the meaning behind holiday. And it's only took 10 years,
Dude, that's awesome. I'm glad that it came full circle because I didn't know this. He's telling me now, but having you do the Russian fish dish is kind of cool because Russ professed to me, he's like, hey man, what do I do? What's the meaning of Thanksgiving? And I told him, I was like, hey man, it's important to just keep traditions alive, whatever it is. So, bring something from the motherland, and and make sure that's part of the tradition of Thanksgiving. And dude, I'm glad you came full circle with it, dude. And had fish.
Appreciate it.
That sounds weird, but but keep going with it, man. I appreciate that, dude.
He wanted to add, he was asking me about freaking Thanksgiving donuts, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Thanksgiving donuts?
I don't know. I lied to him.
Was somebody like pulling your leg and telling you that Thanksgiving donuts was a thing?
I don't know, man. I just read an article somewhere, so I thought the Thanksgiving donuts was the thing, and then I asked Tony, I was like, "I want to get Thanksgiving donuts."
You got to be careful reading stuff on Pinterest, man. That's some crazy articles. You know what I always wonder? I know Waffle House down here in the South is open all year round, except for like, well, no, it's open all year round New Year's. I could just imagine like some hammered people on Thanksgiving going in there, just got done eating a family meal, and they're just like, I want 10,000 waffles. Just like, sir, you can't buy 10,000 waffles, and then just like a brawl breaks out in the Waffle House. That'd be a good brawl to watch.
Well, just don't throw any chairs around. The Waffle House staff are
that lady
well
caught that chair, bro. And
I'm telling you, man. You can tell she's a victim of domestic violence. She's used to catching shit thrown at her.
that lady was wilding, bro. Dude, they threw the little salt shakers, like the little tiny salt shakers. They was sending them things like at Mach 3 in that restaurant, like breaking through glass. I'm like, bro, just imagine being a bystander eating your meal and you just get cracked in the head with a salt shaker, like 90-mile-per-hour fastball. Like, could you sue for like damages, or like how does that work? It's a weird.
For a while, that was one of my side jobs, was working at the Waffle House. Well, 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. at the Waffle House, in uniform for drunk patrol right down the road from the country bar. And that sucked. Most nights were okay, but some nights people just wanted to be stupid.
I want an all-star special. Sir, you got to pay for this. I want an all-star special. Oh, my gosh.
All right.
Okay.
Well, so glad everybody's doing good. Everybody's had good weeks. The reason that we're here tonight is to discuss raising kids, right? And all the joys and hardships that go along with it. And so as Cody and Sid are the only ones in the room that are currently in the military and raising kids in the military.
Well, DJ also.
Oh, DJ, you got kids too?
I got 2 little girls. They need some jobs. Anybody need children to clean their house? I'll send you a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Oh, you got little kids, bro.
They freaking crack kids, man. They do dumb smart shit, man. Like, their mom will be like, go clean over here and do this, and it gets clean, and then like 30 minutes like later the house tore up. I just don't even get mad no more. Like, holes in the wall or like shoes left out. Like,
oh, they're like little Tasmanian devils.
Oh yeah. They got hearts of sunshine, but they take their little happy ass to bed when it's time to go to bed. Cause yep.
All right. Well, I won't exclude you then, DJ, because you have young kids and you're in. But Cody and Sid, kind of roll us through, some of the highlights of raising kids in the military. Let's start with the good stuff.
Oh, the travel. We got to go to Korea, so that was fun. We get to experience different things. I don't know. I didn't move growing up. I lived in the same house my entire life. So I don't have a perspective of moving. They seem to do fine with it. We get to do all fun stuff wherever we go.
Did they try Korean food?
Oh, they love it. They loved it.
Dude, let me tell you about Koreans. And in Korean culture, they love
the little blonde-haired kids.
Yeah, they love. Well, I mean, they love children, right? They kind of revere them, but yeah,
but especially blonde ones.
Yeah, right. So I guess it's kind of strange. I mean, you have to explain this to a lot of Americans, but in Korean culture, they as a sign of respect, they like kind of touch the back of the head of your children. It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
and and especially got these like light skinned blonde haired kids, right? And they like touching the back of your kid's head all the time. And it's something that you as military, like, you get like, what the heck, man? Why are all these random ass people touching the back of my kid's head? But it's a sign of respect, and then it's kind of the term of, maybe I'm saying it wrong, but the term of endearment, like hey, I appreciate your kids here, and we need to uplift like the next generation. I thought that was kind of cool about the culture. Getting back to the kids embracing the culture, they went to school they went to school on post in Korea, and they had both Korean English speaking teachers.
Yeah.
They had spouses teachers and all that stuff. And it was really kind of cool, man, because you got a mixture of both cultures that go along with the traditions of schooling, the traditions of what school looks like in the Dodge program, but what school looks like in Korean perspective and American perspective. And having those teachers there was awesome, because these kids had 3 different versions of music class and 3 different versions of language and all that stuff. And it was really nice, man. But ultimately, I think if our family really got something tangible out of going to Korea with children, as we all got to have experience food. That's what it is.
Now, how old were your kids when you went to Korea?
They were 3 and 2 when we left. 4 and 2. 3 and 2.
3, 2, 4, 2.
3 and 2 when we left.
5 and 6. Math is really hard, We didn't learn in Korea.
They were 3 and 2. So they're still pretty little. But kids their age just like get on the bus by themselves. Like parents just send them out the front door and then they get on the bus. Really weird. Or walk to their school if they're close enough.
Wow.
Yeah, tiny kids. Little tiny kids in Korea. I'm talking like little kindergartners.
Well, because Koreans start at age 1.
Age 1, age 2, or whatever.
Yeah.
And they just do what they want, That's kind of the cool culture shock.
Everything is kid oriented though. When you go out to dinner, everywhere is kid oriented. Things are meant to be around kids, other than nightlife.
That's the same thing in Europe too. The kids going to school early. I remember my wife's my niece and nephews. It would be they live like right around the corner from the base. So like I'd be driving home from work and I'd see my niece and nephew walking home from school. Like, yo, like what the hell are you doing outside of school? They'd be like, oh, Uncle John, we're walking home. Like walking home, like bro, you like 5 years old, bro. Like what are you doing? Like yeah, over there they just walk. Like there would be a bunch of kids just walking home from school. That's normal.
Yeah, and we lived in the Ville, so that was nice too.
In the
DJ, you're in, and you've got young kids. So, what do you think is maybe like one of the positive aspects of having young kids while you're still in the military?
Oh dang! It may give me something to come home to. I mean, I remember when my first baby was born. Shoot, this 2017 when I had her. Yeah, I remember I came back from mission. They let me come back for like 3 weeks, and I got to see just a newborn baby kicking and pooping and crying and doing the little animated things. And then left, came back, and she was 7 months old, just holding her head up and looking at me like I'm a stranger, just like, you trying to box? Like, you want to go back to the hospital? We could fight real quick. But she, yeah, it's just a blessing just seeing just the whole child phase growing up. My second baby, I got to be more in her life. I didn't really go on rotations or missions and stuff because I was out of where was I? Damn, Fort Riley at the time. So like when they were, yeah, they shoot. No, so they were both born in Germany, but when we were getting to Kansas, like they were just getting to see them grow up. Like one's running around, other one's like beating up the other one. Just like, man, oh man, this is gonna be fun. Like as they get older, just with two little girls just fighting. That's just been the beautiful thing. But just as well, the military families that we've met, like over the years, like we still chop it up with people that we've met and still keep in touch with people and checking in on like our distant nieces and nephews. Like just that community, you got your house open, having a barbecue, some random kids come running down the hill, coming to come play at your house. You're like, I don't know who you are. Who are your parents? Like, that's the thing about growing up on posts. Everybody just really tries to keep that family orientation, which is good. That's the blessing I would say, is having that sense of community, be able to talk to people, and yeah, kids getting sick and sneezing on each other because they go to school, and now the whole neighborhood's sick.
Little germ
DJ,
factories.
hey DJ, you mentioned, man, your kids were born in Germany. Do they have dual citizenship, right?
Yep.
That's cool. That's fucking cool.
That was a lot of paperwork. Sir.
That means they'll be congressmen before long then.
Yeah.
Now, Stephen and Anya, you guys raised kids out of the military, but you were a full-time police officer, which
Correct.
isn't all that dissimilar from the military lifestyle. So if you could kind of, think of like a highlight of a positive aspect of raising kids during your service.
Well, when I was still in when we got married, and then we got out and waited about 5 years before we had our first.
Yeah.
He's what, 27?
Yep.
27 now.
Yep.
About Russ's age. And but we raised a special needs. He's legally blind and has epilepsy. Raised him with me, with basically no child care. So for the first 10 plus years, I worked night shift and she worked day shift. And so we'd see each other in the afternoon or in the early morning. And then one of us was raising the kid. And
one of us, mainly me, was raising both kids. But yeah, it was rough. I mean, but yeah.
Then we had his brother 4 years later, about 3.5 years apart. And he's an E5 currently serving, so we did something right.
Shipping out to Iraq next year, so yeah.
All right. And Tony, now you have a similar experience where you had children later in life, but you were still working on the sheriff's department, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, but by that time they were about three or four. The oldest one, I had a bad crash, so it ended up taking me out of the job. So luckily, I've been able to be home pretty much the entire time they've grown up. So that's been a blessing. That's the silver lining in the whole situation.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's good that you get to be there for the formative years of your children's lives.
It is crazy how fast kids grow up, man. It is just like one day you remember they in the newborn baby diapers, like scratching. The little mittens they got to put on the babies when they just born, because they'll end up clawing down to their exoskeleton because they just love scratching themselves. Well, like they go from like harming themselves in them little fingernails to like full blown sentences and breaking stuff, and then just like, Mom, Dad, I need $20. Like, $20? Like, bro, you're 11, dude. Like, what do you need $20 for, man? You better go read a book or something. They were like, books are boring. Like, okay, like, interesting.
Now, with a totally different perspective, we got Bert. And Bert, you are currently serving, but you are a step parent, which is a very different dynamic. So give me a highlight, a positive of how your military service helps you to be a good stepdad. Or not? I guess.
No, it's very easy. It's patience. I've dealt with idiots for 15 years. So when a little girl has a hissy fit or yells or does whatever, I have all the time in the world. I can wait it out. You're not beating me in a argument. I don't get heated. There's so many times where I just have the tactical patience that I would not have had 5 years ago to deal with a 9-year-old girl that I do now.
Give it 5 years, bro. Give it 5 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe when she becomes a teenager. So the problem is she's ridiculously smart and manipulative. So she finds ways into driving her mother crazy.
And she's how old now?
Is what?
And she's how old now?
9.
9. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait until she's 14 or 15.
Yeah. But she's had hissy fits that have gone on for 3 hours, and they don't faze me. I just watch TV or zone out or do whatever I'm doing. And her mom's like, "Doesn't this just like drive you crazy?" And I'm like, "She's 9. I don't know. Like, I just like, it's like when you're yelling at a soldier." And you're heated in that moment, but you're not even heated. It's more for show. You're just like, you're there aggravated, but then you can turn to your buddy and be like, "Hey, what'd you do this weekend?" You know, like, it's that thing where you have just that disconnect where like you're not even emotionally attached to the argument. You're just there for the fun. I don't know. Like, it's great. It's like we want to do this. Let's go. Let's party. I don't care. I got a tea time in an hour. Leave me alone. So I it's been great because I think she realizes it that she can't wear me down like as easily as her mom. And her dad's the same way. Her dad was prior military. He's the same way where he simply just jumps to, "No, we're not doing that. That's dumb." Or like, and you can cry all you want, but it's still not going to happen. So I think she likes it and she respects it. And it's interesting, but I mean, I'm 36. I don't have my own little monsters yet. So I might be in the same boat Tony is, except hopefully not the car accident or anything. So I might have one late in life, but for me there was never any good timing to have kids in the military. I never wanted to until I met this little shitty 9-year-old, and now I'm like, I guess I kind of want one of my own. Like, they're not at least it's. I'm not saying like she's definitely like, I know she's 50% her parents, but she's also 50% me as well, because I teach her bad habits and stuff, and excellent ways to torture her mom. That's what we're really good at. So I think it's cool. We make a great team, and yeah, that's probably the good parts about it.
Right. Now, at least from my perspective, I didn't. I got out of the military because of my daughter, my oldest. So I came home from deployment. My wife had run off with my daughter. She was leaving a trail of breadcrumbs of abuse and neglect, and it wasn't a good thing. So I was home on leave. I filed for custody. I filed here in New Hampshire, but by that time, my wife at the time, she had gone to Texas and then worked her way up the West Coast, and so it was a game of like tracking her down to try and find my daughter to kind of do what I thought was best. Now, as I've learned over the years, what I thought was best may not have always been what was best. But in my a hard set Marine Corps mind, it's, I'm in charge and you're the little one, so I'm going to teach you discipline. I'm going to teach you respect. I'm going to teach you by the numbers. How has your experience been, everybody, right, with getting younger kids through those first initial hurdles of the disrespect and the pushing the boundaries?
We had two polar opposites. The young one, you could take his phone away, you could take his TV away, you could take whatever away. He didn't give a shit. Didn't bother him, didn't faze him one bit. You kept him from going outside and climbing a fucking tree? Oh my God. The older one, he didn't care about going outside. But you take a video game, take something away, and that they were just both polar opposites.
Yep.
Yeah.
Figuring that out as to what works with this kid, like that could be frustrating on a parent, because you're like, okay, I know what's going to work. We're going to do this. Fuck, that didn't work. What do we do?
I'll say I have a very interesting thing where I don't discipline. I don't think it's really my part. Like I can't discipline the child to a certain extent. Like there's some things that I can adhere to, but we have issues that arise where I have to analytically like step back and look at the whole picture and say, like, what is actually best for the child, and how do we deal with this? So something we're dealing with right now, which I'd love to hear your opinion on this, everyone's. She is doing. We want her to get into sports because we want her to be part of a team, to be active, to do different stuff like that. And when she's doing it, she loves it, but other times she just like absolutely hates it. And there's other times where when it interferes with some scheduling issue, like this weekend she has a swim meet, which she's great. I saw her swim practice the other day, and she's better than me. She did like 100 laps, and I'm like, I'm tired after the first one. I probably would have drowned. I almost drowned sitting on the sidelines. Like that's how tired it made me watching it. But she doesn't want to do it because swim meets happen on weekends, and then she can't go home with her father. So there's interesting things where it's like, well, as a parent, do you make them stay in sports? Do you make them do this? Do you instill certain things that you grew up with, or how do you deal with it? Because I can only have perspective. I can't necessarily do it my way. So it makes you really step back and think about like, what are the different routes that you can do to actually instill some of the same disciplines and camaraderie and growing attributes while enabling the needs of your kid. But it turns out sometimes that it's like she gets very defiant about it. She gets very cranky about it. And I don't know. It's interesting. So I'd be interested to see what you guys think about that.
I think her dad should suck it up and just come stay when she has swim meets.
You know what, Berto?
Because
I have to stay quiet on this part. I'm gonna listen to everyone.
Especially since you like swim. Swim is a rough sport to like because generally very, very early in the morning. But I think her dad, if she has swim meets or whatever that are local, should just suck it up and come stay there. I don't think she should have to come stay with him for the weekend.
I agree on that one. I think her
I
dad
also agree on that.
needs to support her, and he needs to be there for her.
Yeah, and so where it gets crazy is when you have.
So,
might have cut out. But when you have someone that's not doing that, who still has that other influential part of the child, so you're combating not only one personality, you're combating two personalities.
Yeah, Rob. You know what? You're right, dude. Maybe I can put more emphasis on it. You know what, man? That male authoritative figure, right? She's also got her mom, but she's got kind of technically two dads. In that sense, man. Sometimes you and him might have to get on that same page and be like, hey, we're down to do the dad thing at the same time if he's not present. But other than that, dude, when you know, it's funny you mentioned that you like to put things, you like to instill some things to drive her mom nuts. I love that, man.
Yeah,
because you're kind of going with.
Yeah, I do. I'll make her kids fucking do crazy shit.
You go with the like Uncle Berto fucking mentality, like, hey, I'm here to fucking inject myself, But you know what? When you do finally grow up and you have one of your own, or two, or 12, or whatever, you're gonna find out that will be that will not pay dividends in the end.
Okay, so you're gonna tell me you don't teach your kids ways to torture Sid? Because that's bullshit. Absolutely. I've been to your house. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, anything that
he doesn't get away with it, though. It's still on him.
Anything that I can.
As the father of a son who tortures his mother just as bad as I do, I didn't have to teach that fucker anything.
They do it on their own.
Autopilot.
He did it all on his own.
Well, now, so you guys bring up an interesting thing, and Cody and I, we've talked sideline, about this kind of thing. But so we, as the men, we set a certain example for our children, be it boys or girls, but especially with boys. And Cody brought this up, and I 100% agree with it. I believe that it is up to the mother to draw that line in the sand with a boy child and say, okay, you cannot cross this line. I am the mother, and you will respect me up to this point. We can have jokes and we can have fun, but once you cross that line, mom puts her foot down and she teaches that boy how to treat women as he grows up.
Well, my boys know that 100%. There's no doubt about that. They know yeah. Oh yeah.
Sid, how about you?
They're both way more respectful with her than they are with me.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I'm very verbal in the way I go about things, though, so they generally hear it. Like if something makes me upset or something, I verbally tell Cody, so it's easy for them to understand because they hear me verbally say it.
Yeah, she verbally kicks their ass. I hear her. She scares me in that house. Okay, I won't fuck around in that house either.
No, you're on the right lines there, Paul. Like, you know what? Generally within the military, right? These ladies that we chose to be our life mates, right? These ladies that we chose to be our life mates, they're running the household, man. They're the ones that are running the show. I mean, they're mom 9,000% of the time, and they're also dad 10,000% of the time, right? We're I'm going with the norms, okay? I don't want to, modern society and stuff, but these spouses or these true parents of these military kids, man, they gotta play mom and dad roles all the time.
I don't think it's necessarily mom and dad. I think it's that we have to learn to give and take more because we don't always have another person to be the bad guy. So we have to learn that there's times to be super strict and there's times that you give leniency. Just because you can't do it.
Yeah, no,
all the time.
Yeah, it's funny, man. a lot of the point of contention within, I think, military marriages is where it's happened on ours, right? Where I went off on a deployment or something like that, where I was gone for a long time, where Sid had to play both mom and dad, or excuse me, mother and authoritative figure, or good cop, bad cop to kids, right? And then I come back from God knows where I was, right? And I want to inject myself into this type of relationship with these kids that had one person acting as two, and now they have some sort of like mean authoritative figure, or even some off off the reservation type fucking authoritative figure. And honestly, man, if you're not on the same page, if you're not on the same sheet of music with your spouse as a military parent, man, it's going to be huge strain on your relationship, and it's going to be huge strain on the kids, man. And finding that little balance between who's in charge and who needs to be good cop, bad cop, man, you got to have an open discussion with your spouse about that. That's not only military. Yeah. That's everything.
Well, that's like post deployment, like where communication between us is important.
Long stints between
I don't know.
Both parents, and then long stints between both parents and one parent being there. But you know what's kind of cool is that kids, or at least military brats, I think it's the first time I mentioned it, right? Military brats, man, they're pretty fucking resilient, right? And since like a regular kid would be, but these kids that are out there, in a military perspective, man, they're kind of serving with you, right? I mean, they have to kind of live vicariously through you or your experience, and so whatever trials and tribulations you have in your profession, right, whether it be in the military or be in law enforcement or anything, where one or both, maybe even both parents are gone for long periods of time, or there's not a daily consistency, right? These little kids, man, they figure it out. They figure it out faster than the actual parent does. So you want to stay on top. You want to stay on top of these kids, man, and ensure that they have some sort of success in life. You gotta be on the same sheet of music as your spouse. Right? That's the reality of it.
That was the hard
thinking on you.
That was the hard part for him when he finally came off for nights and he was on days. We always had sports. We always were on the go. And he was like, "What y'all doing?" I said, "Well, we have this, this, and this." It took a while for him to get back into the swing of things a long time. Because, you know, we had stuff that we did every day. I mean, we were football practice, soccer practice, basketball practice, Boy Scouts. And it took a long time for him to get back into our family routine because he was always on nights and he slept during the day usually. So, or he worked like 36 hours straight. So it took a while to get him back into.
Yeah, everyone gets used to the routine when Dad's away.
Yep, exactly. I mean, that's.
And then they come in and screw it up because the timelines are off.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Okay. You know what?
I'm sure my wife would agree that I screw it up all the time.
We screw it up, dude. We screw it up. It's okay. All right. Yeah. The the only saving grace is when we can be like, okay, I screwed it up. Tell me what to do. You know.
Yeah, I'm flexible too.
But yeah, no, you're right, Anya. Like, oh man, like Steve was doing night shift type stuff.
Yep.
You had stuff with the kids every single night. It was ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, we had it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Steven showed up like randomly when we had an off day. It just fucking messed the whole thing up. Fucking thing. Like, good job, Steve. Thanks, Dad, for showing up.
Yeah. But yeah.
Now, DJ, you're raising young girls. How are you and your wife, working through young girls?
Oh man, it's a learning thing, man. I'm not saying I'm hard. I'm not trying to be too hard on them, but like, man, little girls, man, I realize I gotta find a soft spot. I love them little girls to death, man. But like, sometimes I feel like I'm not too mean with them, but I just keep it $150 with them, man. Like my oldest, she don't like getting hollered at, man. She'd start crying. I'm like, hey, I'm just letting you know, hey, I love you, and the reason I'm yelling at you now is because people in life aren't going to be fair. Somebody say don't jump on the couch and do a somersault off. You're gonna fall, break your neck. I don't want you to fall, break your neck, because now I got to go to the hospital. And then you all crying, oh, I want to jump on the couch. Like, I'm trying to help you because I could just foresee what's gonna happen. Just foresee. I love you. I don't want you to get hurt, and my wife's doing real good with the little ones. They are just it's just learning things with little girls. Daughters. You care for them so much. But then it's just I dread the day when they turn 18 and they go off in the world. Like, it's gonna break my heart. I love them so much. It's just enjoying the time you have with them now, but really trying to prepare them for the world, because it's just so much changing, but it's just the innocence, I fear the day I'm gonna see the innocence just leave them and just be like, dang, like, you got corrupted, you know what I mean? The world corrupted you, and I'm not saying that's gonna happen like immediately off the bat, but just giving them that good set of morals to be able to decide from right from wrong, and just really prepare them, because once they're out there on their own, they're on their own.
No, I love that you brought up morals, because I truly believe that anybody that's been in the military or any type of a hardcore public service position, right, be it law enforcement or EMT, paramedic, firefighter, you live your life by a certain code and a certain morality. You want to pass that on to your children, and that becomes more and more difficult as society reduces standards and gets into all this new woke ideology and all of that. How do we address that with our children so that we're not overbearing and kind of beating the morality into them, but from a loving place, we show them that what we are saying is coming from a loving place, coming from experience, even when they don't want to listen. Tony, what's going through your mind?
I'll tell you what's going through mine. We
all right,
always,
Tony.
Yeah, good job, Tony. We we always give Giuseppe a lot of the facts to consume, right? So, not saying that new culture is right or wrong, but if you are to believe in this, here's some of the left and right limits of what's there. So one thing that we talk about sometimes is religion. Her father was raised in a very religious family, homeschooled in a church. Very one group of people. Um, oh, Stephen, your hand is raised. Go ahead.
When you say church, which denomination are you referring to?
They're a Christian-based church.
But what specific one?
I
Oh.
I don't know.
But I asked because she was raised Catholic. I was raised Southern Baptist.
Yeah, we can tell, Stephen. I'm just kidding. But they're a little on the what's the right word for this? They they impressed very hard on religion in their family. And Allison and I aren't really religious at all. So whenever it comes up, we're always like, well, here's some of the facts of both sides. So you can believe whatever you want down the road. Just be aware of all the data that could possibly exist, both good and bad, whatever you want to believe. And then with all the new stuff coming up, she has questions. She's like, hey, what is this weird terminology that I just learned? What's a trans person, right? And we have to explain that to her and say like, hey, like, they're still just a person, so like we still have those moral obligations to treat people like people. But like you also have the freedom to believe what you believe, whatever that is, and that's all that really matters. Like to you is how you feel. Just be a good person above all, and that's what's most important. And I think it's like those. Allison and I are very synchronized on that. Like we don't care who you become or what you believe, as long as you have those foundational morals and you understand that at the root level. Like I don't want you to follow this rule that we have blindly. We want you to understand the basis of it, and why it's important, and let that lead your life. Just be a good person to people, regardless of if they have a wiener or not. Like that's the big thing, right? And then if someone impresses ideologies on you, like you can accept it if you want to, but you also don't have to. Like you have the freedom to like live your life and do whatever. So just be that. So those are the important foundational things that we impress, and it kind of gives a lot of left and right limits to like how you raise them, because you don't pigeonhole yourself into like one thought process of saying this is exactly how it is, but you let them like explore different thoughts. Tony, what's on your mind?
I was going to say that I think one of the most important things is to try to be an example of integrity to your kids. Let them know that, if you fuck up, you need to admit that you fucked up, and go through those corrective actions of how you're going to fix it, or try to fix it, or at least apologize for it. And
so
one
even
of those
dad is fallible.
Yeah, everybody is. And it's like, and make them responsible for their actions. But if they do come clean about what they did, then you need to freaking tone down what your response is as far as like a punishment for them fucking up. But at the same time, you got to stay on track. That
Yep.
not let them manipulate that mindset into, well, as long as I admit I fucked up, I can do anything I want to do. You have to stay on top of that and walk that happy medium between, yeah, you might have told me you did this, but this is pretty fucked up. So, you can lose your phone for a month or whatever.
Yes.
Be honest.
Yep.
But there are going to be consequences. The consequences are probably going to be less if you're honest.
Yep.
Because if you lie about it, I'm going to multiply whatever the consequences are. They're instantly doubled, if not more.
Yo, you know what the shittiest thing is, though? Is when a little rat bastard calls you out for not doing something that you preach. If you're like, put your fucking plate in the sink when you're done, and then you don't do it, they're gonna be like, Berta, are you gonna put your plate in the sink, or what are you doing? Are you okay? Right? And you can't be a hypocrite,
Well, that is another part of trying to teach the kids, is that when you're not the one in charge, there are certain things that people that are in charge are going to be able to get away with that they are not, and it might be hypocritical in some situations, but in other situations it's just facts of life. It's not. It's like when they grow up and start having to deal with freaking bureaucratic shit like car registrations or freaking taxes or whatever the case may be, just because they're having to do it this way doesn't mean other people aren't doing it a different way.
Go, Cody.
Listen, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, grown-ups of the group, okay? I am the example of you didn't put your dish in the dishwasher, all right? That's me, right? And you know what I tell my little gremlins that came from her? I helped. I'll admit. Right? You know what I tell those little gooby goobers? I say, hey, life's tough, and get with the program. All right? So
RHIP, baby.
Yeah. So when Tony's saying, you know what? Stand in line at the DMV. Yeah, that's the exact same thing as you were told to put the dishes in the dishwasher, and your dad did. So, yeah, get with the program. But
I just say I do everything else around the house. I lift one dish. I do everything else around the house.
that's why we have these. That's why we have these around. Right? We love them so much. You guys can't see me. I'm blushing. Hoping me.
So much more than dishwashers.
Yeah.
Oh, I felt it all the way over here.
I got a question for the group. How much of your military leading perspective is translated into your parenting type of perspective?
What are you looking at?
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
We've all led soldiers, right? In some form, fashion, or capacity. But it makes it very difficult sometimes, where I have to be like, hey, I'm dealing with 13 of these
Adolescent.
soldiers, 13 of these soldiers, right, that don't know their asshole from their elbow all day, every day. And then I come home to my own teenagers. I guess got big ass feet. I'm calling them teenagers, don't matter. Right? But I come home to my own teenagers, and I'm like, where do I switch it on, switch it off, or what do I take from lessons learned? What I'm trying to get to, folks, is that I'm looking at soldiers, right, 18, 19, 20, 25-year-olds, right, and I'm like, man, this is what we have right now. Mm-hmm. this is what I don't want my kid to be. Right? So I'm trying to kind of force these lack of values that I'm seeing in current society on my own kids, and I'm like, man, it becomes a point of contention in parenting, and it's kind of interesting.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up because so you of course have a different perspective because you see these young, fresh 18, 19-year-olds on a regular basis. Now, I don't personally have interactions with young people, but I see what is going on, right? And I don't love it. I don't like the fact that over the last 20 or 30 years, the standards for education have been reduced, the standards for the military have been reduced, the standards for everything have been reduced in the sake of equity. But equity isn't the solution. To me, what it is I want my kids to learn that they can do anything they want, but they're going to have to work hard and they're going to have to sacrifice for it. And they have to understand that they have to be willing to make that sacrifice. Well, all right. If I want to excel in school, then that means I'm not going to be able to hang out with my friends as much. I'm not going to be able to play video games as much. I'm going to have to focus my energy into what it is that I'm trying to achieve. And I feel like as a parent, I'm failing in that regard because like my son has zero motivation for anything, like anything. And I'm struggling with how do I get him to understand that he could do anything he wants. He just needs to work hard for
Oh man,
We grew up with a generation. Our kids see YouTubers. They see social media influencers making money. So I think it makes them feel like they don't have to try as hard.
Okay.
Because they can just do everything on a camera and still make money.
Well, I mean, I've been at this for a year and I'm not making a dime yet. So
maybe
but
it's
you're not running an OnlyFans either.
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, my feet aren't that good looking.
Yeah, I don't know why you still send them to me every day.
Because you like it.
Social media has a big influence on the kids nowadays. And I guess my kids were limited to some social media. Because I expected more out of my kids. I raised them like I was raised. And there's certain things that were just, a lot of the younger kids now, they get away with it because mom and dad do everything for them. And that's not how I was raised, and my kids weren't raised that way. So,
yeah, Steven, you're probably lucky, man. You have a German woman raising your kids. I wouldn't fuck with them.
I'm
never in a million years.
I'm extremely lucky because I mean, she's not told enough how well she did and what she did because I had one rule: leave work at work. Don't bring work home. And when you watch somebody die at work and the life drain out of them and then come home and have to try and deal with what seems to be a trivial problem to you, but is the biggest thing in their world, I mean, it's completely different. And
I'll tell you, Stephen, those were the days. So when my dad was a cop my whole life growing up. Those were the days that even when I fucked up horribly and I was just an absolute shithead of a kid, I would get love from my dad because of the horrors that he saw while he was at work. And I never understood it until I was in my mid-30s. But yeah, you're spot on.
Yeah, I mean, the kids knew when, I mean, I always expected more from, I don't want anything else. So, I mean, I don't know. Ethan's first job, he was 16. He worked at Gaddy. 6 months after he started there, he got keys to the building. I mean,
I had one thing. No, you can't be a Marine infantry.
Yeah.
Fuck
No,
that,
that was
over
what-
my dead body.
That was over my dead body. I told him, I said, no.
What's wrong with Marine infantry?
I didn't want to be first one
no.
in.
Look how it turned out.
Whoa, we just opened up a whole new topic, folks. All right.
Okay,
You
number
do whatever
37.
you want to do, but not
Marine
that.
Corps infantry.
Well, we
I
had,
said,
Look,
You,
We
you
might-
can't be a cop. No. Get a job that's going to do something that's going to give you a career. Law
When you get
enforcement
out.
is not it, and Marine infantry is not it.
and
I get a
told him,
lot of flack for telling teachers and principals and things that I don't care if my kids go to college.
No.
well, Ethan
I
had
don't
to
know. I also have grown up in a place where, like, tech school, which technically isn't college because
yeah.
it doesn't cost that much, or you do apprenticeships.
Yes.
So
Well,
Nothing wrong with that.
Let me ask you this. I mean, Stephen, your kids already joined the military, but knowing what you know about the military, do you spend time getting them away from it?
No, I don't.
no.
But I'm also the guy that says, that's okay. Memorial Day is about Ethan.
touche. Touche.
Most of y'all here get the sick, twisted military humor.
Yeah, we got it, brother.
She
No,
doesn't.
Dude, there's no way. There's no way, man, that I would let my young boys be in the military.
What?
But
Not even the Air Force?
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not the military, is it?
dude.
Yeah.
Well, and like, you know what? My kids have an amazing imagination, right? Man, they play dress. Oh yeah, dude, they play dress up all the time, right? I say dress up, but I mean, these kids, man, they're playing.
Dress
They
up.
wear dresses?
Yeah.
No, they play dress up,
Yeah.
right?
They put on these dresses
Well,
and they play with each
no.
other.
you gotta show Reese's double helmet.
when my kids play dress up, right? They got this tactical helmet, right? They make their own like NVGs out of fucking
Pringles cans.
Pringles cans and shit like that, man. My
Hell yeah.
kids are tactical as fuck, right? What's funny though is that it kind of scares me a little bit, right? I don't want to, stifle their imaginations, but I also don't want them to fucking join the army. Right?
Yeah.
I want
Because
them to join,
It is their decision when when they're
Hey,
certain
Elon,
age.
you fucking
And-
froze again.
And when I did tell him that he wanted to join the army, it was hard. But I said, well, when you sign on the dotted line, you better say what you want to do, because if it doesn't say it there, you don't know where you're going to end up.
I think it's a wild thing to think about, where you look at the foundation of what the military provided for us, like when we became adults and where we were at in life, and like you have to make this decision where you're like, I don't want them to be in this organization because this place sucks.
Yeah.
But also the man that it made me
Exactly.
is a different man that I would have been without it. So like,
That's
so
the
you
problem, man.
have to make this decision where you're like who would I have been had I not had the military?
Yeah.
And is it a good person? Would it have been? It's that grass is greener whole concept, where like my kid it's like my kid's gonna be better if he gets in a fist fight, you know? Like it sucks, but it's probably good, hopefully gonna make them better, or it's just gonna fucking cripple them and and they're gonna hate me for life. I don't know.
I don't have to worry about it because my kid's never going to watch this.
We'll send it to him. Don't worry.
But
I gotta stop address.
He's done more in his time in the military than I did, and he impresses the fuck out of me because, I mean, he's doing things and going places.
He's growing up big time. I mean, it really made him grow up, and he has shown the leadership that he has always had in him. So,
Anya, he's showing the leadership that you gave him because we know Steve wasn't around doing it.
Yeah,
that's the real deal. All right. Anyone else watching this? I don't know how many female spouses, viewers that we have on this on the Weekend Warriors. I'll tell you what, ladies.
0.
It was 0 females that watch this.
Yeah.
if you do end up
Paul's 2.5K, 0 of them are female spouses.
If you do end up watching this, ladies, man, listen up. You hold down the foundation, man. I'm telling you. You got it all. You have it all locked down, right? If we're talking about general, even traditional gender roles and stuff, like you're talking to the male breadwinner, all that stuff, right? Doesn't matter who it is, right? Somebody's keeping the house locked down, and then somebody's keeping the house afloat, and that's really what it is. And the lockdown ladies or men out there, the ones that are really have the fucking foundation, you guys need a pat on the back. Right.
Dude, and you know, Russ and I talked about this the other day, where like, you know how hard it is for us to come home and not have that foundation, like to not have someone, like not have a partner there, and so going home, like when I said I went home for leave for a week, it was amazing because Allison and I we just jumped back into it. We were a team again. We were like doing things together, and like that's a second half of your life that you miss as a team to tackle so many things. And like she always says, like, it is so much better as a parent when you're home because, you know, when she's exhausted I can take over and vice versa. And it's that foundation, it's unmatched. And I did not understand families in the military for the first 10 years. I didn't understand. I'm like, just come to work. What do you mean you got to drop your kid off? Like they're 7 years old. They can walk to school. Like I don't care. Blizzard. What do you mean? Like I didn't get it. And then like learning how families operate and stuff like that. Like that second part, like that can make or break a family in the military, because we don't even talk about that. We're talking about like these success stories, but like there's a lot of like bad sides of families in the military because they don't understand how to work together as a team. And honestly, like I watch Cody and Sid all the time, and they're like the tag team fucking military family that rocks everything out. And still, she manages to take care of me whenever I'm in town too. So like, but I also see other families that struggle because they don't know.
Yeah.
They're weak.
Well, I don't want to say you're supposed to be the fucking moderator, not the instigator. Okay?
There's some people that just can't be in that kind of relationship. That they need constant.
Yes. Well, my son, one of the things is saying, I don't want to start a family while I'm in, and I get that. He sees everybody else that have problems that are married, and you know, so I get where he's coming from. So
yeah, see,
that was my mindset. That was me. I either didn't want to or didn't have the time to start a family while I was in, because in my brain, like, I already knew how shitty my life was. Why would I want to bring a child into this? But you don't. But you don't understand how much better it is with that other half to help you.
That's
To guide you through it. And I think some people that are very successful in the military either A, hate their families and just want to be away, or B, have just an amazing foundation that make it work. And honestly, like Cody and Sid are that way. Like it's like I don't know how she puts. Well, she probably loves the fact that he's gone for 2 weeks every month. Oh, he's out in the field. Terrible. I get to read my books out back. Like,
He doesn't know anymore.
Okay, wait a minute. Sid knew about all of my ice creams that Anya got me way before Cody did.
you know what? Sid just hops on the radio when he's out in the field, and he gets alert that he gets alerts on his phone that he's on the radio. He's like, what? That's not me.
All right, so Robert, you perfectly segued into where I wanted to take this next. Which
You're welcome. I read your script.
You know what? I learned after episode 2 that these go much better unscripted.
Yes.
However, I do have an agenda kind of in my mind, and one of the things that I wanted to bring up was I wanted to talk about the highlights and the positive aspects of how the military service that we've endured affects our children. But it also creates some struggles. And I know for me personally, right? Like, so as I said, my child raising time was after I got out. And I did the best I could with my daughter. And for the majority of the time, I was a single parent. But with my son, I came into his life when he was 6 months old. And my wife was not a military woman. Like, her dad was a submariner, but he got out long before. He. I'm sorry. All right. So, yeah. So he got out long before she was a kid. And one of the struggles that my wife and I have is that I am very much a structured, regimented military mindset, and I want my son to learn the structure and discipline and hard work that it takes to be successful in life. And she's coming at it from another perspective because she's a therapist and very much wants to talk about things and work through problems kind of emotionally, where I don't give a fuck what your emotions are. This is what I say, and you're going to either do it or you're not going to do it, but there's going to be a consequence either way, right? So how do we deal with the struggles in the differences in parenting styles, parenting techniques with our military or for Stephen and Tony, the law enforcement side, in addition to the military, and how do we teach our kids what we want them to learn while also creating a good working relationship with our spouse that we don't always agree with?
Take it, Anya.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, as Cody and Paul and I have spoken many, many, many a nights, me and my youngest do not see eye to eye. We are too much alike, and we butt fucking heads.
You butt fucking?
Yeah. I mean,
They're too much alike. Yeah.
we're too much alike. And
But he always says he's nothing like his dad. Just like him.
so I'm comforting in the fact that he takes a lot after her, and she raised him. And she raised him right. And I'm thankful for that.
Hey, Anya, do you think that you maybe raised your son to kind of emulate what Steven was doing, or to kind of because I mean you chose Steven as a mate, right? So
Gross.
I mean, were you trying to kind of go that way, right? Well, I'm only asking that because I mean
that was for Robert, not you.
The real deal is right. 95% of raising children is this one over here, right? I give suggestions, right? I come in at the last moment when she's already screaming her head off, where I get to play bad guy and dad, right? And that's the real deal. So I'm just asking, Anya, what do you mean? You raised a boy.
I just wanted him to have the morals right and be a good person. I mean, I think some of the stuff he's seen what his dad did, but really, I don't know. I mean, maybe in some aspects, but I always instilled in him hard work and be honest, and treat everybody as the way you want to be treated. And that's part of it. I mean, I don't care what color you were. I mean, everybody was welcome in my yard, and they always came. We had, I don't know, all the neighborhood kids come over and play in my yard because I had control over them. And if you didn't follow the rules, you go home. And everybody was like, "How'd you do that?" I said, "They have to follow the rules. There's rules that have to be followed, and kids like structure." And
well, I mean, you don't let people treat you a certain way, so your kids see it because you, I don't know, stand up for yourself or express that it's not appropriate to treat you that way. So your kids see it, so they know that it's not acceptable, even if there are other small people.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing that me and Ethan had a long talk about, one of the neighbor's kids that I threw out in my yard, he said, "Oh, you're nothing but a Hitler." I said, "Don't you dare compare me with that." And Ethan
She said, "Don't you dare do that."
Ethan was teased at school. They were playing dress up, and he wore a little mustache, and they called him Little Hitler. So he would not speak German. That's one of the things he just. And I said that was before my time. Oh, and we talked about it, but he just, yeah. So, I mean, I was strict, and
I've had kids I've kicked out of my house for multiple warnings of unacceptable behavior in my house.
But Sid's rules are really easy. Don't be a douchebag, right?
Well, clean up. You made a mess. That's the biggest one.
Mess, right?
That's the biggest one. Usually is. Our kids do have an excessive amount of toys. They're the grandchildren, though, so they have an excessive amount of toys.
Yeah.
But if you come over and you play, you're expected to clean up everything that ever you played with. That's a huge one. If you're not going to clean up, you're not going to come back over here. Because you had fun with it.
Yep. Well, I have a really good one. So Ethan asked me if he'd take his Nerf guns outside. They were shooting Nerf guns in the front yard. I said, sure, no problem. Next thing, I looked out the window, and the neighbor kid shot at the cars that were driving by. I went out there, and I mean, no, don't you start with that. I yanked Ethan back inside. I said, you're grounded. I said, what, the next time he wants to borrow a gun, you let him borrow a gun and shoot somebody? And the neighbor kid came over. He's like, well, he didn't do it. I said, I don't care. He's guilty by association. He's not coming back outside.
Something I find interesting about military culture and I guess you can tie this. Fucking Elon every time I talk.
That's Starlink, man.
Yeah, it's like as I talk, he's just like, nope.
Oh, okay.
Is that it? And this question is gonna kind of go to Sid, but have you seen Cody develop as a person from when he joined the army as a scout versus where he is today? Because I think there's thinking about like the initial term soldier, especially if it's their first introduction to like discipline, it's like this hard shock. But like when I deal with Cody today, over the past, God, how many years has it been, Cody? Fucking
Don't say out loud. It's the end.
yeah. Like we've known each other for a few years now, but like him and I have learned so much through these years, where our perspective has widened. And though we're both in the military and we have these rules, you learn so much about people and training and just like the diverse crowd that you get, that you become a totally different leader and a totally different parent and totally different person. To where I remember I met a soldier when I was actually at NTC. I was his first team leader in the infantry. And he told his buddies, he was like, this guy was a fucking asshole. Like, about me. He's like, he was an absolute. Was. I was worse. I was fucking worse. Sergeant Snyder, E5, fucking Pitbull Snyder, like, was an absolute asshole, right? And that's, I think those initial terms, so that's what they see and that's what they think. And then I look back on that guy now, and I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? Like, what? Like, there's so many like not important things that I emphasize that could have been done differently because of what I know today. And I think we learn that as parents. Like, you look back and you're like, shit, I probably could have done that differently. But anyway, Sid, have you seen like him grow as a military father or just like a military person?
Yeah. Well, I mean, signal soldiers are a whole fucking different.
Yeah, they are.
They're way different. They are definitely more emotional beings.
I think Cody and I went through. He went from scout to signal. I went from infantry to signal. Like it was a shell shock to be like, people want to, like Paul said, people want to talk about their feelings. They want to do this. They want to do that. But you realize that's the whole other part of the military.
Like, no, but it did help with, I don't know, because I'm kind of an emotional being, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I guess explaining things, I probably over-explain to the kids, things. Because they ask questions, and I don't just want to be that parent that said, well, that's because I said so.
Get it.
Hold on. Look, listen.
So he's got a little, you've gotten better in listening ears.
Let me take my hearing
ears and one mouth.
Maybe that's the problem.
Listen up, homies. All right. She's talking about me being a combat MOS leader, right? And a support MOS leader. And I guarantee you, I will agree 100%. Berto, you know what, boys? My parenting and my leadership has developed in a parallel with each other, right? I dealt with robots, right? And it was very easy to get robots to do what you need to do. And then I dealt with 2 brain cells. Holy shit. 2 brain cells is one more than I can deal with because they can actually think on their own. And what's kind of cool about it is that my kids have 2 brain cells. And
combined.
Yeah, and they share it.
Yeah. Brain cells. And it's just so frustrating because they think for themselves and it's frustrating. All right. I want to bring up probably the most contentious part about my marriage, relationship, everything, right? Is
We're all
that
going to need marriage therapy tomorrow.
yeah,
Yeah.
big therapy on the top right here, up here. You, it's something that I probably have not learned or developed as a military leader is that when Sid talks to our children or talks them through situations, right? She's very compromise. Where my military upbringing is not very compromise, right? It's very like get it done here, there, there, there. So
There's
That's
A,
where
B,
the
about
parent thing comes into
the
it.
one parent thing, right? If she's doing the 95% of parenting and I'm doing the 5, if she's doing 95% of the compromise, my 5% of fuck you doesn't count. And that's the frustration. And there you go. I'll give it to Steve and Anya.
Well, the one thing I have to say, he was more level-headed. I would just blow up. I would just blow up. I mean, he would just like,
Well, you are German.
Oh yeah. Well, there used to be like witching hour.
Well, I would
You weren't
say
there anymore.
I would say that this is kind of why I respect the German culture and upbringing is because like discipline begins at a young age. It's not a shell shock. It's not like, oh, all of a sudden and it's not just one family where here in America it might be this family is disciplined, this family is undisciplined. It's a whole culture that is disciplined. So like it doesn't matter, like you said, it doesn't matter whose house you go to, that mom is gonna discipline you, or so
and that's the way I was. I mean, it's just it's the way it's always been. So yeah.
so more often than not, people from German culture, they're very blunt and they're very obvious in like this is the way it is, and I don't get why you don't understand this.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
but they're very calm about it too, which is good. Now you might be someone that blows up. I don't know, but
Well, one of the things is when I was when I was doing outside yard work, my kids were always outside helping me, and my neighbors were, well, how'd you get them to do that? I said, it's part of they live at my house. It's part of their chores. We gotta work together. It's not all of just the parents. I mean, the kids work. I mean, it's the way it's always been. And I'm like, well, I pay my kids. I'm like, they're not getting paid. They're gonna eat at my house, and I mean, they want something to eat.
They get food, clothing, shelter.
This is how we show them communism doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
You know what I like about military?
I'm like, I'm not paying them before.
You know what I like about military brats is that there's if they stay in, or if your parents stay in long enough, and these kids get exposed to so many more different cultures than any other American kid, right?
Yep.
Most often, right? You got the kid that's born in the cities within Alabama, right? Or the rural area of West Texas, right? Or upstate New York, or whatever they are. And I'm giving all the examples, right? Those are microcultures of America.
Yeah.
Man, when you take all those microcultures of America together, and then you slap in a few like overseas like stations and stuff like that, you end up marrying some German lady, right? Okay, you got some worldly cultural experiences of not only children get to involve in that, but also the community as a whole. And I really like that about military brats, man. the trials, tribulations of deployments and all that stuff, all that jazz, but the cultural experience of wide, right? These kids, even though they might be a bunch of degenerates, and I love them for it, right? The best part is they've seen so much of the world compared to their peers that no one will ever be able to experience. They're kind of the 1% of the 1%, and I like that about it. Tony, what do you think?
Speaking of experience, yeah, go ahead, Tony.
Oh, what I was gonna say is that you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. What I was gonna say is that there's kind of a double-edged sword with that. Is that when you get that experience, a lot of times they're too young to realize what a wealth of knowledge that is to fall back on and to help them shape their opinions on things. They probably won't even realize it's a positive effect on their life really until they get like either they join the military themselves or they grow up and get out of the house on their own and they start realizing, oh yeah, I gotta tell my buddy that this Filipino man over here that was yelling at them, that's not really it's not really as hostile as what it appears because it's their culture to freaking be, overzealous with their speech. That kind of shit's not really gonna hit them. The usual kid's not gonna appreciate that knowledge until they're old. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true.
You're right, man. The old adage of it takes a village, right? If your village is only small in the context of the world, right?
I think the hardest part about being a military kid would be, the constant moving, the constant changing of friends, and the only consistent adults in your life being your mom and dad. I'm not saying that mom and dad's not a positive thing. I'm just saying a lot of kids, they don't get that freaking high school coach that's in their face for 4 years straight that makes a positive impact on them because they were only at this school for a year or two before they went to another school and they don't have time to build that rapport with other adults.
You're right, brother. And having that consistency, right? If you're reading the fucking baby books, that makes sense. But on the flip side, having a little bit of that chaos on a consistent level almost makes you more resilient as a young person to go like, hey, I have always moved. I've always fucking changed.
You develop life skills out of it.
Right.
Yeah, so
I think here too, though, being at Irwin, our kids have a very unique experience because everybody's kids are kind of just a little bit free range.
Oh, feral kids. Feral.
Like most people's kids, because the school, the farthest away you are from the school is like 1.5 miles. So everybody's kids ride bikes, everybody's kids ride scooters. Kids just meet up at parks. They text each other and they're like, oh, we're going to meet at the park. It's really weird.
But while you're in California, you're still in, as Cody says, the biggest gated community in California.
It is. It's a weird experience. Our kids definitely get a lot more freedoms from being here.
Yeah. For the viewers or anybody else, right? Like we're stationed at Fort Irwin, right? And we are 45 miles away from the next civilian populace, right? So gated community, right? That type of thing. Right. Our kids are always going to play with other military kids.
Yeah.
Right. And their cultures and everything else, the melding pot of whatever they are. That's my biggest point of this whole podcast. But but not everyone will experience that in their military career. But what I like about it is that if you do end up in those happenstance where your kids can go out and just be like they were back in the day, right? Where you don't come back until the fucking street lights come on.
Yeah.
Right? Where kids can be kids type of thing. Oh, there's just so much just sweet baked bread, a fucking version of life.
But there's also,
that is,
as a parent, a little more freedom because we can leave them home alone because we're never more than 5 minutes from them.
5, 2, I don't know.
Like,
they
get to be home a little more too. We do have more mature kids that can cook and are responsible for themselves. So it's easy to leave them home because we know we can trust them. They have a phone. They have ways to talk to us, but we're never more than 5 minutes away. So it's nice to be able to give them a chance to be a little more mature.
Yeah.
And make decisions.
Oh, I can remember those days of getting a phone call from her because he wouldn't call me. Fuck no. But he would call her and say, I missed the bus. So she would call me, and then I would call a beat partner to be like, hey, can you swing by the house and pick up Ethan and take him to school?
It only happens a couple of times. So.
Two or three times, but
once in 20 years, right?
Well, he was still in middle school then. So, I mean, his older brother went to a special school that was specially for the visually impaired. So he went to Nashville, which is about 2.5 hours away. So he rode the bus to middle school, and he missed the bus a couple of times.
See, I have a nice luxury that they can just ride their bikes because
there was no way riding the bikes. No.
A mile from middle school and a mile from the other one school.
Ooh.
So.
Actually,
probably
who rode their bike to school?
I did.
But that's common in Germany. I mean, we all did. So
I rode the bus.
Bus.
It was longer to get to the bus than it was to ride my bike to school.
We didn't have buses.
The bus.
My school was the next town over. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
But then he got old enough and he rode his car when he was 16.
When I drove at 15. The day I turned 15, I got my driver's license.
It's
So I was a freshman in high school driving.
Lucky you.
All
right. So I gotta say I absolutely have loved this conversation. It has gone fantastic, way better than I expected it would. But
that's because they're keeping us in check.
But we do have a wealth of experience in the show tonight, and so let's kind of put together some thoughts for other parents that are maybe not as far along as we are, right? Maybe their kids are a little bit younger, they're a little bit newer in the military, or they're just out of the military. And
condoms.
But so what bits of advice based on your experience would you have for somebody that is a younger, newer parent and struggling with some of these pre-military, post-military, pre-deployment, post-deployment parenting struggles?
Talk to your peers.
Structure and be their parent first. Don't want to be their kids' friends until they're old enough to understand that part. A lot of people don't want to discipline their kids. Oh, I want to be their best friend, but you can be that later on in life. Until they're a certain age, you got to be the parent first. And a lot of people don't understand that anymore.
Chores aren't bad.
No.
Chores is definitely, yes.
Even when they're little, I get it. It's hard because you're still teaching them. It's still a good thing to teach them very minimal chores.
Yeah.
Hey, soldiers. Guess what? Your kids are not your soldiers.
Yes.
Try your best to not project your experience with 18-year-olds with your 10-year-old.
Yep.
Okay. But These 18-year-olds are a perspective of what the fucking next generation is. So nip that shit in the butt, all right? Figure that out.
Tony, what are you thinking?
I don't know. It's not my. I don't have experience with that. With the kids in the military situation. That's just kind of out there flapping.
Right, but so Tony, you do have a unique perspective, and you do have a lot of experience.
Yeah, totally.
I understand you wanna be modest about it, but like you do have a wealth of knowledge and experience where you can offer advice to somebody who may be struggling with parenting issues.
Well, I think the most important thing has already been said. I mean, you got to be a parent first and a friend second. You can love, that mean you don't love your kids, and they won't figure that out till they're old enough to realize what you were doing. But you can't be that. You got to be a parent first.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not gonna like you.
Well, that's true. Yes.
Yeah.
It's okay to be called a bad parent.
Yeah, man. Look,
or I don't like you.
When my 30-year-old son comes at me and we have a fucking conversation, it'll be mutual. We'll love it. But if not, you know what? He's got to deal with his kids, so screw him.
When I first started policing, I got sent to a house in this rural little county. The county was so small that you were the only deputy on duty for 24 hours. You worked 24 on, 48 off. That's how small this county was, rural. Got sent to this house. This kid called about a child abuse case. I get there, the kid's laid out in the front yard, driveway. It's a farm. They got cows and horses and stuff. And this kid, he is beat like he jumped on somebody at the bar beat, right? I go up and mom and dad are sitting on the porch crying. Dad's nose is twisted. He's missing a tooth. His lip is shattered, needing stitches. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "I told him to go feed up. He wouldn't go feed up." And he grabbed the keys to the truck. This kid's 15, doesn't have a license. He grabbed the keys to the truck and said he was going to town. I told him he what? He punched me in the mouth. The fight was on. So then he called about child abuse. I said, "Sounds like self-defense to me." Got in the patrol car and I left.
Yep.
I told that boy on the way as I was walking by him, I said, "Don't call me for this bullshit again. You started this shit. It's your problem."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Berto, what do you got for thoughts?
Rob has some good stuff.
I do.
Dude, Rob's raising a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
Very cute. And you met her when she was very cute. So
I think what's awesome, like I'm seeing the end of my career as she gets older. And the one thing that I've learned is to not take your work home. As Cody said, like your kids are not your soldiers.
Yeah.
Your spouse is not your soldier. Nothing about your personal life it has to be who you are in the military. They can be two separate things. And to take the good things from the military and apply it, because there's a lot of bad things that come from the military too. And I think part of that journey is overcoming those bad things. There's a lot of shit that fucks us up, fucks our heads up, makes us weird people until we go to therapists and talk to people and learn how fucking bad our brains are, that we fix it. But don't take that shit home.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to do. It's very hard to do. I'm sure Steven and Tony saw a lot of shit in their time on the force. it's stuff that we don't you know, like we don't talk about with the spouses. Stuff that we don't tell them.
When you're at a traffic accident and you're walking the scene trying to figure things out, and you've been there for 30 minutes or so, and you find where the car left the road, and you mark it, and you're walking on down, and you're like, okay, here's the first flip, because you can see debris. There were a couple of cassette tapes and some notebook papers and some other things that you could tell the windows were down. It was summertime. The car started rolling as it left the road. And then the second time, when you realize, oh, that's a guy that I went to high school with that got ejected head first into the ground and broke his neck. And he's laying there dead. And y'all have been at the scene for 2 hours. And then you get to come home after that and never explain to people that was your day at work.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. I know I know everyone here has some wicked stories that
Yeah.
Funny accident story. If you want to hear it. I went to we had this kid that decided that he was gonna come up this intersection, black out, and run the stop sign if there was no lights coming. But this couple that was coming was in an older truck that didn't have bright headlights. They had coming from the hunting club, had 2 coolers of freaking deer meat in the back, and the lady was driving was riding in the passenger seat with her feet up on the dash. Mistake number 1 on their part. So this kid gets T-boned by this truck. The kid's DRT, and the lady, she's going to have to go for multiple surgeries because she's got a big dent in her forehead where her knee fucking hit her in the forehead. And
public service announcement: do not ride with your feet on the dash.
Don't put your feet out the window on the mirror either.
So, well, at least you lose your foot instead of driving back into your face. But anyway, the deer meat went everywhere, right? The deer meat and the cooler went everywhere. So I'm out there directing traffic, and EMS comes pulling up, and I notice that there's this rookie EMT getting off the truck that I had never seen before, and he's running with his little bag and everything over to the car, and he steps on a piece of meat, and I hollered at him and said, "Hey, you need to watch where you step. You're stepping all over evidence over here." And he looks down. I said, I think that's some brain or something laying there. And he looked down and seen this meat that had grayed out because it had been in the cooler soaking. And he looks down and sees this gray meat that he stepped on. He just starts throwing up everywhere while he's trying to go to the car. It was hilarious.
So I think that solidifies my point of like, you may not have to tell your spouse, but there are groups of fucking weirdos like us that you can tell this shit to.
But usually, you can tell.
Or Anya too. You can
tell when he had a bad day, so you just stayed away from him. I mean, you learn
to read the signs.
You know, you can't. I mean, just leave the kids away. We just did something that day and just stayed away from him because I knew he needed to decompress first, and you need to give him the space to, when they have a bad day, just to give them a moment to themselves, because if you talk to him, he would just blow up.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing to spouses too. You know, it's not just these ridiculously sexy bodies in uniforms that you're signing up for, you know? just these fucking gorgeous specimen. Jeez, just these absolute gods sculpted. You know, I know that's what you see and that's what you want from us, just as just a piece of fucking meat, right? But there's
so you see all the
gorgeous meat,
and they're like 6'5".
Yeah, but there's
no.
There's more to it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Speaking of which, sometimes Steven's on here in his underwear and I make fun of him.
Hey, my Christmas underwear are very, very comfy.
Oh my
How do we
god.
know you're not in your underwear? You can only see boobs.
You saw my butt crack earlier.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Well, let's try and put a bow on this. I truly believe that, I mean, we could probably do this again and still just barely scratch the
Yeah.
surface of everything that is involved in parenting, pre and post military, and everything that is, affecting us and how we parent. So let's just, like, I don't know, give like one last word of advice for anybody that's listening or watching us on the YouTube.
Wear a
And,
Jimmy.
well, for you young soldiers, 100%. Yeah, I can't agree more. Don't be a fool. Wrap your tool. If your dad didn't teach you that, I'm telling you right now, it is the soundest advice that you could ever get.
Mop level
Don't be
5.
a fool.
Yeah.
Wrap your tool.
Here's the love. Here's the honor. You know what I mean? If you can't come in or come on her.
All right, Steven, Anya.
Hey, wait. Robert, have you watched The Landman by Taylor Sheridan?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
I'm mad that I started it.
Oh my God. That some of the shit that's said in there, you will appreciate, Robert.
Oh yeah.
When Billy Bob is down on the football field talking to his daughter.
All right,
Anyway.
so
Well-
good parenting there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
The real
I
deal.
guess
The
all
raw.
I would say for everybody, it is hard, but it'll get easier. You just got to stick your ground. You'll make it through it, hopefully, but you screw up along the way, it happens.
The theme of
Don't-
tonight, remember your morals.
Yep.
And treat people as you want to be treated. Be nice to people until it's time not to be nice.
Then be fucking ruthless.
Yeah.
Then the rules are out the window.
Cody, Sid, what do you guys got?
There's a point where you make mistakes and you have to learn from those mistakes. But there are some mistakes that you have to make in order to learn from them.
Yeah.
Amen.
If you're raising a military kid, realize that it's going to take a village.
Yep.
We're a very small village. It takes the rest of the community to do so. And we are a very unique type of village. And the men or the women, specifically the service members, treat the ones that are doing the 90% of the parenting with the utmost respect and realize where you're supposed to fit into the puzzle piece of family.
Berto?
Man, I didn't get to tell the story of the soldier that I had. I'm not gonna tell it. But the kid, he was my soldier. He came to me when he was 19, and he was the son of a military father. And he learned a lot in the 2.5 years that he was here with me. So all I'll say is, like, have some grace for your parents, right? So focusing towards the kids, like they went through some shit. Everybody's going through some shit. All of us here, we have no idea what the fuck we're doing, right? We're
Amen.
making it up. We're making it up as we go. Everyone's making it up as they go, and everyone's just using what they've learned in their life to do it. So have some grace, and that's the biggest thing.
All right, so Russ, as the only non-parent left in this group, what have you gleaned from all of the talks tonight, and do you have any advice for the other young soldiers that are out there? You have
Mr.
to unmute
Moderator.
yourself.
Mr. Moderator. Your
With your Burger King
fucking
mic.
microphone is muted.
Turn your mic on. The Russian is yelling into a muted mic.
Oh.
This is embarrassing.
This is the generation that is going to give us our Social Security.
Paul, don't edit shit. Nothing. Go, Russ. Tell us their words.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Paul for allowing me to serve as a moderator on this episode. Thank you very much. And well, one advice for people like me out there, singles, not ready to be married, not ready to have kids, is probably surround yourself with people who already have kids so you can learn all the mistakes, all the good things, all the bad things, and you can take that and transition it over into your life.
And you can enjoy corrupting them.
All right. Well, like I said, this has been a fantastic conversation, and I really appreciate everybody's time tonight. I hope that our viewers and our listeners have enjoyed this conversation. Please feel free. Most of them?
Both of them.
Oh, both of the viewers and listeners?
Yeah.
Please feel free to leave us a comment. Leave us send us an SMS text. Let us know what your thoughts are on your own personal struggles with parenting, and I hope that we can revisit this conversation at a later date, because I really truly think that it's a very important conversation to have, especially in today's society. We're shaping the future of our nation, and how we do that is going to determine what our future looks like when we're old. And so, once again, thank you each and everybody for being here and for sticking with us through this podcast. Stick with it. We're all in this together. No matter what, this is a fantastic outlet for us to conversate and have these conversations. And I encourage anybody that wants to join us in these conversations as well. Go ahead, Stephen.
If you are not a Patreon subscriber to the channel, there's a link right down there. And being a Patreon means do you get to see Tony without a coat on.
Yeah.
I got a
if that's not motivation.
Who the fuck says send an SMS text?
Was that the wrong sales message?
No, that was perfect.
That was the Joe Biden script.
Send me a letter in the mail. Send me a stone inscribed.
Send a self-addressed stamped envelope to.
Yeah.
I am 100% SAEC. I am locked into the world. I am fucking everything. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. I'll send you a QSL card.
They're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cat.
And on that note, we're out.
Later, y'all.